All right. Hey guys, my name's Marc Dyer. I'm with the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, the Aquatic Resource Education Department. Today, we're out here. We're going to talk about setting up your kayak for kayak fishing. You know, obviously, safety first. We always want to keep our life jacket handy. We're going to have this on once we get in the boat, but we're not wearing it for other purposes. Okay. Anytime you're going fishing, I'm a safety guy, so it's always make sure you got your eye protection, make sure you got your sun protection. Those are always going to go with me when I'm going out on the water. Okay, what are things we got to think about if we're going out there? Well, since we talked about the life jacket, we talked about safety, let's talk about a few rules and regulations. You're in what's considered to be an easily swampable craft. So one of the things about that, if you take any drinks with you, you're going to need a floating drink holder. And you're also not allowed in this type of craft to have any type of glass containers while you're out on the water. Okay. That stuff being said, let's talk about the fun stuff. Let's talk about the fishing stuff. All right. I had to drive to get here. I'm going to have my cell phone with me. What are my options for protecting those things? Well, I've got two. Number one, you can use a dry bag. Roll top dry bag, put your personal items in there you don't want wet, roll the top down, snap your connections together, and you can put it in the well storage on your boat. That's what we're going to do with this. Or another option, another thing people like to carry are dry boxes. You can kind of have an inventory of what your items are, since you can see through this one. This is a good impact resistant case to use. It's waterproof. You can take it. This one won't fit in the well storage of my boat, so I'm going to put it back here in this milk crate. Milk crates are really handy if you're fishing out of a kayak. You can keep your cooler in there. You can keep your dry items. You can keep a larger dry bag in there if you're spending time on the water. I actually bought a small cooler that fits inside this one because, let's face it, when I'm fishing, I want my fishing gear up here with me. I want it up here where I can get my hands on it. I'll usually keep my soft plastics right here. I've got some straps underneath here where I can store a couple of different flat boxes, or I can back here. All right. Well, when we're out there paddling, a lot of times we have a tendency to swamp the craft. Let's face it, we turn over from time to time. All right, when that happens, we want to make sure some of our items are secured. My landing net is secured in here with a carabiner. When you're fishing out of a kayak, I typically try and land all my fish off one side. That way my pliers, my landing net, and everything are handy. It's not always the case, but it is an attempt I try and make. All right, what else do we have? All right, we've got our paddle. We got a paddle leash on here. You clip this into your boat. That way, if you swamp, your paddle's not gonna. You're not gonna be clinging to the boat trying to gain your feet, and your paddle go floating down the river. We don't want that to happen either. Okay. Every boat's a little different on the type of storage they have. I've got a front storage well. I've got a lower storage well. My back well is set up here so that I can strap in tackle boxes and they're going to stay. I've got this milk crate down. Like I said, you can put a cooler in that. You can put a bigger dry bag in it. I will typically have a small cooler in here, and I'll run a big dry bag here if I plan on being on the water all day, or maybe for an extended period of time, like if I'm putting my sleeping bag and my camping tarp in there if I'm going to camp out. Okay, rod storage. Now, this rod can be broken down. It's a two-piece rod. I can actually insert it in here and store it in the boat if I decide I don't want to fish anymore for the day. Or there's different types of different rod holders. I personally don't keep any on my boat. I just don't like them. I typically will I'll fish with one rod and I'll keep that with me. A lot of your kayaks will have vertical rod storage. I fish a lot of moving water with overhanging trees. If you're fighting a fish, your extra rod's sitting out here, like a flag. Typically you can if you take your paddle out of the water, a lot of times you might spin, you might be going backwards or whatnot. I don't want anything that can get hung up in a tree and have more problems than I can deal with. That's why I keep one rod on board. All right, let's see what else. You know, one thing about safety, guys, if you hadn't been in a boat much, make sure your foot pegs are set to the right length. That way you're nice and stable in your boat. My seat's actually movable, so if I have a heavier load in the back, I may want to scoot a little closer to the front and move those foot pegs up so I keep my boat flat. That's all just going to depend on what kind of rig you're running. Okay. Well, that's a little bit on how to get your kayak set up for fishing, and we're going to do some fishing on Crooked Creek. We look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, come here. Come on. You want to fight?